the Talkback. It's with digital executive, SNY, Matt Spenley, the Big Spend, we call him, and he is going to feed us some questions, and we're going to get into some of the questions from the fans.
Thank you, as always, for the intro, Ian. You flatter me every time. Cassidy, I want to come right to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Favorite MSG moment over the years? I'm sure you covered a lot of games there. Anything stand out when you kind of reflect on your time covering the Knicks and games at MSG?
I mean, that I've covered?
Sure.
Or just in general?
In general. If you got another one, that's fine too.
Look, I grew up a Bulls fan. That's like at the heart. So of, me not just being in this business, but me as a sports fan, was being an NBA fan in the 90s. So I'm sure Knicks fans won't like to hear about my favorite moments, but I think you can fill in the blank.
We got it.
Like all the,
I saw the Jordan in the background. I already knew it was coming.
Yeah, so I'll just spare you guys, but just giving you, if you want to know, like what fuels me, that it's that time in my life. So that's the answer for me. But I will say, as terms of what I've covered, I think I've been very fortunate to work Christmas Day now for, I don't even know, 10 seasons. And I've had a good majority of the games at MSG. And I think it's special that the Knicks have, are pretty much like the unofficial host of Christmas Day because they always open the day. And so, that's not lost on me because that's like we like to say that that's really the start of the season. And, MSG on Christmas Day is, I think, something that I always look back on when I'm all let my hair, not dye my hair anymore because I'm already gray, but when I'm, gray and old and think about my time covering this league, that will certainly stand out.
Yeah, that's awesome. A couple years after those Wizards and Thunder games when the Knicks, I think they lost by about 30 a couple years in a row. We got kicked off Christmas a couple times, but back at it. All right, Ian, I want to talk because I know you wrote today on SNY.TV about just Mitchell Robinson. We've talked a lot about him on the show, and a lot of the questions are related to that. And you kind of talked about his trade value and how what the Knicks could expect if they were going to trade him. Also, the expectation shouldn't be too high. So I just wanted to hammer on that a little bit more about Mitch's actual trade value across the league.
Yeah, I can't tell. I'd be lying if I started to talk about specifics of what they could get back, couldn't get back. But if you look at it in a big picture sense, right, no one's sure about his health. There's uncertainty surrounding his health because of this injury, because of the injury history. And he hasn't played. Like if he was coming off a 3-week stretch where he was playing like the Mitch Robinson of middle of last season, just dominating, the trade value would be strong. But this is not that. And so you look at the kind of continuum with Mitchell Robinson, this is a low trade value time for Mitchell Robinson and what they could get back, what they can't get back. I'm not exactly sure, but it would not be a strong return. It wouldn't be as strong as it would be if he comes back, he shows teams that he can play, that he's healthy, and then you're having different conversations about Robinson's trade value. And the Knicks front office, just like I'm sure every other front office in the NBA, they don't want to do a deal where you're getting off of a guy at his lowest value, and then maybe you look back on it in a year and he's playing really well, and you're wondering why you got 2 second-round picks for him. So it's just not a perfect time to trade Mitchell Robinson, and I can't tell you definitively which way they're going to go, but I would just assume that the more conservative play is the way they go, which is keeping Mitchell Robinson at the deadline.
Good to know. Jeff, I want to come to you with one about Cat from our guy, Robert Cross. Robert, first, thanks, Ian, for his outstanding coverage this year. Any merit to Cat having surgery on his thumb this winter to be more healthy? So, Ian, I'll ask you after that. But, Jeff, I just want to know, Cat in general, I mean, he shot 20% from three since he's had the thumb injury. I think, it's kind of been his first rough patch of the season, and he's obviously been tremendous this year. But just your thoughts on Cat moving forward. Do you have any concerns about that thumb as we kind of get into the full second half of the season?
Yeah, I have concerns. I have general concerns. I hope that it doesn't get worse. I think all indications, because I'm not Dr. Johnson, I'm just Jeff, right? So from what they're saying, it can't get any worse. That's why he doesn't have to have the surgery right now, and it can heal. But if anybody who's played basketball knows, if you have a finger injury and you keep playing basketball, it's not gonna heal as quickly as it should. But the one thing I will say about Cat is, despite his dip in field goal percentage and 3-point percentage over this span, he's still one of the best players I ever seen using 8 fingers, because I think his middle finger on his left hand has been taped up. He looks like Rick Steiner out there wrestling with his fingers taped up, and he's still out here dropping 20 plus games. Like, guys, we've gotten to the point where a 22-9 game from Cat is like, he's really off tonight. Like, this is where he's elevated his game to a point that, once again, I didn't expect, especially with the narratives that were surrounding Cat coming into the trade in this season and after it was executed. And I realized a lot of it was not really about basketball. It was about personality clashes and all that other garbage. And the thing that I will say is, New York, I never seen this before with an athlete. I feel like New York and Cat have a symbiotic relationship, where the city needs Cat as much as Cat needed the city in order to raise to the next level. He embraced it like no other. I think he's comfortable with himself, and he's actually embracing who he is as a person and a player. And this has been the environment where he's been able to thrive. Ian, Cassidy, when have we been able to say that in the last few years? You want to talk about a culture shift here in New York? These are all the pieces of evidence that you need to see that there has been a shift to where the Knicks are one of the best run organizations in basketball, one of the best teams in basketball. And Cat, I hope he's not partying too hard in the Bay Area this weekend. He can get some type of rest on the thumb, but I do think he's going to get used to it. He looks real better. He looks way better than he did when it first happened. So I don't have too much of a concern, other than I hope nobody else tries to hit his hand purposefully and tries to make it worse. That's really it.
I love what you said about him feeling comfortable with who he is. I mean, Ian, you're in that locker room way more than I am, but the times I'm in that locker room, I mean, he comes in all of his, his personality is on full display.
Yeah.
And you can tell he's just in a happy place. Like, he's goofy. He's, and I think having teammates like Josh Hart and Jalen who lean into the goofiness, allow Cat to be his full goof, if you will. And so, the vibes are immaculate from the inside out and from the outside in, and you just hope that they can continue feeling good mentally, but also physically.
And Cassidy, if you believe anything Zodiac related, they have a very compatible relationship amongst the starting five. We got Scorpios and Cancers and Virgos. Shout out to the.
I didn't know we were going here.
Wow.
I can't take full credit. There's an account on Twitter, X, whatever you're calling it nowadays, that they equate NBA talent and free agency to their zodiac signs. And they said this relationship was an A+ between all five. And I could tell you, just from seeing those guys outside looking in, they all complement each other. They're all the same type of guy. I feel like OG is low key the biggest goof. I feel like OG is the biggest goof out of all of them. The people who are the most quiet, they're the most goofy.
That from day one. Ian, I think I said this to you. Yeah. I said OG when he joined the Knicks is absolutely the funniest guy in the NBA. And everyone would look at me with like 4 eyes. I go, then you just haven't had a conversation with OG. He's the type of guy where, like, straight face and you just laugh. Like,
yes.
It's
like dry humor.
And, I don't know.
Ask Serge Ibaka. He'll tell you. He's annoyed Serge Ibaka to no end.
That's so funny, man. The sign.
Yeah, it's all out there. Yeah, I love it. All right, I got one last one for you guys, and it's for Ian, because we started out with the Lucas stuff and everything. And Ian, I know you've been covering the Knicks a while, so I got to know, what's the most shocking moment as you've covered the Knicks, whether it was a surprising transaction, something that happened that stands out in your mind that you maybe have a story that you'd like to tell during your time covering the team?
I think we all knew the Carmelo trade was going to happen, or probably going to happen. I think everyone thought Jeremy Lin was coming back no matter what. So that's one where even the Knicks thought, like, we're going to bring him back, obviously. And that was one where it was it was so crazy that I believe when the Rockets were trying to serve the offer to the Knicks, Glenn Grunwald, I think, was running around trying not to accept that offer. And it was just something that no one locally expected, that Lin wouldn't be back. And then just tells you that you never know how things are going to play out in pro sports. I do remember being at the practice facility one day, getting ready to leave. Mike D'Antoni had just conducted practice, had just talked to the media, and then he 20 minutes later resigns. So I turn back around and go back to the practice facility. That was a wild one too, but that's what you can count on. Expect the unexpected with the NBA, with the Knicks, with all these teams. That's what makes it fun.
That's what makes you the best. That's what I got, guys.
Thank you, Matthew. Appreciate you. We're going to get
the best. You are the best, Ian.
Oh, Cassidy. Very sweet. And I'll say this, it's a full circle moment for me, because at ESPN way back, I was blessed to do some digital videos with you way back when. And I will tell my grandkids about it one day.
Yeah,